So now let's look at question number 3. It says to simplify the following. So the first question, which is going to be number A, is what? Let me just write nicely. Is going to be what? They say square root of j to the power of 4 minus j to the power of 3. Okay, so what you have to know here in this case, remember, you must remember that j is equals to the square root of -1, and then j squared is equals to -1, and then j cubed is equals to -j. So this you must know by heart, and then j to the power of 4 is equals to 1. Okay, so the advice that I will give you is that every time when you are simplifying these numbers, just make sure if ever you have a bigger number, you are actually having an exponent of 2 or an exponent of 4 as a smaller number. But I will just explain that clearly when we go on. Okay, so here on the first question, when we simplify, remember when you remove the square root, it's going to be what? It's going to be the exponent of half. So it's going to be j 4 over 2. This root here, the number outside the root, it will divide with the exponent of the number that is inside the square root. And then obviously here we have j cubed. And then our answer here, it will be what? It will be j to the power of 2 minus j cubed. Okay, so now these ones you must know them by heart. So when you see j squared is going to be how much? The answer will be -1. And then when you see what? When you see j cubed is what? Is negative j. So it's going to be negative j. And then when you simplify here, you have -1 plus j. It's important that you keep the signs. You look at the signs. You don't just put a negative j here, but you must put it inside the bracket because j cubed is -j. Okay. Okay. So let's now look at number B. Is here. So number B says what? Says is j to the power of 24 plus j to the power of 2019 minus j to the power of 201. Okay, so what I was trying to explain is that because we know when j is to the power of 2, it gives us a number which is -1. We'll basically know if ever we have an exponent of an even number, we'll know -1, it will remain what? A positive. It will always be a +1. But if ever the exponent is an odd number, -1 will always remain a -1, irrespective of how big the exponent is. 1 to the power of any number is always 1. Okay, that is why we will have to make our j to be 2. Okay, let me show you how you do that. Let's say for example here we have a bigger exponent. So this exponent we can divide it by 2 if it can divide by 2. So it's going to be 2024 divided by 2. It will give us what? The answer, it will give us 1012. So you're going to say j to the power of 2 all multiplied by 1012. We are not changing anything here. Remember, if you have exponent like this, you can multiply them back. So this is the same thing as here. Okay, but we just want to have what? The -1 inside the bracket. If we have -1 here and then our exponent is an even number, that means we know the answer, it will be 1. If ever our exponent is an odd number, we'll know the answer, it will be -1. So it's much easier to work with this one. Even with j to the power of 4, if there is -1 or 1, it's up to you how you do it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. The next one is here. We want to make sure that the number is even number so that we can divide it by 2 and have a j to the power of 2. So here when we expand it, it will be what? So it's going to be plus, let me just put it into bracket. So I'm going to say j to the power of 1 multiplied by j to the power of what? 2080. So remember, when you multiply the same base, you add the exponent. This will end up being what? Being the j to the power of 2090. Okay, so same applies here to this one. This is going to be negative, and then we say j to the power of 1 multiplied by j to the power of 200. So when you multiply this thing here, you add the exponent to lead us to j to the power of 201. Okay, so let me simplify further. So I will just leave this one like the way it is j squared all to the power of 112, and then I come here. So now here I can write what is j, and then I can write this one as j to the power of 2. Remember, it's going to be 2018 divided by 2, which is going to be 1009. Okay, and then also I'm going to do the same thing here. J is still j, but then I will just want to do what? I just want to divide this exponent by 2. It will give me 100, so it's going to be what? It's going to be j squared all to the power of what? To the power of 100. Okay, so now at the end, I know what is j squared? J squared is equals to negative 1 all to the power of 1012. And then I will do what? I will be left with j here, and then I know j to the squared is 1, negative 1 all to the power of 109, and then also here it will be minus j, and then I know j squared is minus 1 all to the power of 100. Okay, so now irrespective of how big the exponent is, if it's even, I know that negative 1 to the power of an even number, it will always be a positive 1. So I will have 1 here, and then here, because the exponent is odd, that means it will be negative 1. That means here it will have what? Will have negative j. Now the same applies here. Because it's even, we know it's going to be 1, so the answer is just going to be negative j. So our final answer, it will be what? It will be 1 minus 2j. Yeah. Okay, and now let's look at number C. Let me just erase here. Okay, let me erase. Why am I erasing that side? But I will just write it back. But I don't think we're gonna need it anymore, so I can erase everything. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at number C. So at number C, we also have to simplify. So they have given us what? 2 plus j7 plus 3 minus j12 minus 5 plus j6. Okay, so basically when we are adding or subtracting what? When we are adding or subtracting complex numbers, what do? You just add what? The real part with the real part and the imaginary part with the imaginary part. So I can just simply say here we're gonna have what? We're gonna have 24 plus 3 is real part, and then here is gonna be negative. Just be careful here. This is going to be negative. This negative here, it will multiply with this negative here, with 5 here, and then it will also be multiplying with that one. So you must be careful of the sign here. Okay? And then now here we're going to have what? Negative 5. And then for what? For the imaginary part, is going to be how much? It's going to be plus j7 minus j12. Remember, I said that because of this negative sign, this is going to be if j6, and then you just put everything into your calculator. You just say 24 minus 5, which gives us 22, and then you do the same here for the imaginary part. So it's 7 minus 12 minus 6, so it gives us what? Minus j11. Then you are done with number C. Okay. Okay, so now let's do number D. So number D, we are just multiplying. We're multiplying complex numbers. Okay, so it's 6 plus J7. So remember, I said when we are multiplying, it's not the same thing as when you are adding. When you are multiplying, the first term will multiply with the number here, and then it will also multiply with the second number. And then also the second term will multiply here and will also multiply with the second number. So the answer, it will be how much? 2 multiplied by 6 is going to be 12. And then 2 multiplied by 7 is going to be positive J14. And then we say J3 multiplied by 6 is going to be how much? It's going to be positive J18. And then now you say J3 multiplied by J7, that means it's going to be what? It's going to be J squared 21. Okay, so remember, like I said, if ever it's J squared, that means this is going to be negative, and then we're going to group the real part with the real part and the imaginary part with the imaginary part. So that means the answer for this one is how much? Is actually negative 21. So we're going to have 12 minus 21. And then we have what? We have J14 plus J18. Okay, so when you put on your calculator 12 minus 21, so that is going to be what? I. And then you also put 14 plus 18, which is going to give us plus J32. Okay, that's how you simplify it. As easy as that. And then now lastly, we're going to look at number E. So here at number E, we have what? We have a division of complex numbers. So it's going to be 5 minus J3, all divided by 3 plus J4. Okay, so remember we talked about a complex conjugate in my previous video. So if ever you have a number that has a J in the denominator, you want to get rid of the J at the denominator. So how do you get rid of the J at the denominator? You apply a complex conjugate. But this complex conjugate, when you apply it, you make sure that it does not change the expression or the problem that is given. So you multiply by 1. You multiply by complex conjugate base, but S1. So you're just going to put a negative where you see J there. So that means it's going to be what? It's going to be, we're going to multiply by what? By 3 minus J4. And then divide by 3 minus J4. Okay. So this is the complex conjugate of this one. And then also this one is the complex conjugate of that one. Okay. Okay. So when we simplify, if you don't understand here, you can still go back to previous videos. I've explained this one loud and clearly. Okay, so that means now at the top, you're going to multiply whatever that you have. So it's going to be what? It's going to be 5 minus J3 multiplied by 3 minus J4. Okay, but simply here at the denominator, because we know it's complex conjugate base, we're just going to square the first term. We say 3 squared. 3 squared is going to be 9, and then we just square the other term is going to be 4 squared. 4 squared is going to be 16. You just put plus, you don't have to think about it. Just put plus 16. Is a complex conjugate. It will always lead to this one. Okay, so now you can simplify what you have at the top. You will say 5 multiplied by 3, which is going to be 15, and then 5 multiplied by negative J4, which is going to be negative J20. And then now you say negative J3 multiplied by 3, which is going to be negative J9. And then now you say negative J3 multiplied by negative 4J, which is going to be positive J squared. What? 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. Yeah, 12. And then it's all divided by what? It's 9 plus 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So we have 25 here. Okay, So when you simplify here, remember when you simplify here, this one of j squared, it will always be what? It will, or if it's j squared and then the coefficient is positive, that means it just change is going to be negative 12. So at the top here, there we're going to have 15 minus 12 minus j20 minus j9, all divided by 25. And then 15 minus 12 is going to be 3. And then negative 20 minus 9 is going to be what? It's going to be negative 29. It's going to be negative j29, and then it's all divided by 25. So that means this 25 can be written off what? 3 divided by 25 and minus j29 divided by 25. Okay, so you can simply put this into your calculator and simplify, write it in a decimal form. Okay, thank you.